My dear child, today I want to tell you about my last day on the cross, not to make you sad nor to frighten you, but so you can understand sometimes love is written with pain. That day the sky over Jerusalem had not yet fully brightened. Dew still clung to the grass, but people's hearts were already cold. I was dragged from Caiaphas's house to Pilate's palace. My bare feet stepped on sharp stones. Blood soaked into my torn clothes. My hair stuck to my forehead, wet with blood from the crown of thorns. I heard the crowd shouting in the streets, "Crucify him!" Their voices rolled like waves. Someone threw a small stone at me. Others just stood silently, watching with cold eyes. My child, I wasn't angry at them then. Truly, I wasn't. I looked at them like children having a tantrum without knowing why. They were afraid of me. They thought I was destroying everything they believed in. They didn't understand that I came to bring a kingdom with no throne. No sword, only love. When Pilate washed his hands before the crowd, I knew everything was decided. A soldier tied my hands, the rope cutting into my wrists, drawing blood. They placed a heavy wooden cross on my shoulders. Its rough splinters scraped against my torn back, wounded from the lashes. I bent down, embraced the cross, and began to walk. The road to Golgotha was long, my child, not because of the distance, but because of the eyes of those standing along the way. Some wept, some turned away. Some held their children's hands, pointed at me and said, "Look, don't become like him." I didn't blame them. I only felt compassion. I wished they understood. I was carrying that cross in place of them. When we reached the hilltop, they threw me to the ground. The soldiers pinned down my arms and legs. Another soldier took a large nail and placed it on my wrist. The hammer struck. The nail pierced my skin, my tendons, my bones. Do you know what I was thinking then? I wasn't thinking about the pain. I was thinking of my mother, Mary, standing at the foot of the cross. I was afraid she would cry. I was afraid her sorrow would be greater than my suffering. They lifted the cross up. My body sank down under its own weight. My lungs felt crushed. Each breath required me to push myself up with feet nailed to wood. Blood ran from my forehead into my eyes. Sweat, salty as tears, touched my lips. I looked down and saw the crowd. Some laughed. Some threw stones. Some stood silently, tears falling. And I said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Do you know, my child, I meant those words. I didn't say them just to sound merciful. I said them because in my heart, at that moment, there was only love. In each person shouting at me, cursing me, I saw a child once hurt, a mother once hungry, a father once beaten. They didn't hate me, my child. They were just afraid of the love I brought because that love asked them to change. For 3 hours I hung on the cross. The sun stood still. The air thickened. I breathed with difficulty. Each breath meant pushing against the nail in my feet to lift my body. Each time my flesh tore a little more. But I kept going because there were still words I needed to say. The thief on my right looked at me and said, "Lord, when you come into your kingdom, remember me." I turned to him, though my neck was stiff and my lips cracked. And I said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Do you see? Even in my last moments, I wanted to tell someone they were saved. That is why I came to this world. I looked down and saw my mother. Her eyes were red, her hands trembling. I said, "Mother, here is your son." And I pointed to John, my beloved disciple. I gave my mother to John and John to my mother, because I knew people need each other when I am no longer here in the flesh. When darkness covered the sky, I said, "It is finished." I looked up to the Father and whispered, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And I closed my eyes. But my child, that was not the end. When I closed my eyes on the cross, love remained. Because 3 days later I rose again, not to boast of victory, but to show you, there is no death stronger than love. There is no suffering greater than mercy. Today, as I tell you this story, I don't want you to see me as a distant God. I want you to know that I once hurt like you, feared like you, but I chose love instead of hatred. If today you are suffering, if you feel lonely or hopeless, remember, I understand, and I am still beside you in every breath. You only need to call my name. Even if it's just a whisper in your heart, it's enough. I love you.